Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you? You like my outfit? Do you like my outfit? If you're new here, welcome. So my name is Crystal. My channel is all about personal development, femininity tips, and relationship advice. So let's get into today's topic. Today we will be talking about dusty traits that we need to avoid in men. And as soon as you see these traits, you need to hit the ground running because it is that serious. Dusty men, or when I refer to dust in any of these videos, I'm talking about men who are low caliber, men who are not husband material, men who are not classy, eloquent, and leaders, firm in their masculine energy. Today's topic is really geared towards the younger girls who haven't made any major mistakes in their life as of yet. This video is also for women who just want to do better moving forward. If you're on a personal development journey and you want to know how to avoid certain types of men, then this video is for you. It's okay, you don't have to be young, you don't have to be in your young 20s, but hey, I think we can all admit that it's better to avoid certain mistakes before you get to a certain age. It certainly makes things easier, right? All of these traits can more or less indicate that a man is dusty or low caliber or is not a true masculine man and will most likely cause a lot more damage than repair or good in your life. So it's just better to steer clear of these types of men. So here's a little list and I hope you enjoy this video. Number one dusty trait to avoid in men is a man who's broke, lack of career, or lack of a passion that pays. Not a passion that's going to pay, but a passion that currently pays, has paid, and is going to continue to pay in the future. This is a capitalist country, the United States of America. And in any capitalist country, money is directly correlated with access to health, healthy options, better quality lifestyle, access to quality experiences, access to a better lifestyle, right? So, I really don't like when people pretend like money is not important and money cannot do what it does. But I definitely do believe that money can buy happiness if you know how to spend it and how to multiply it. It can absolutely elevate the quality of life that you have. I don't think it's healthy for women who are on their self-development journey to deny that and to just pretend like money is not important. And you will see how important it is when children get involved. You want your children to have better than what you had growing up. So how else are you going to get that unless you have access to capital? So money or access to money or capital or a man who is financially stable is not only good for you as a woman who is aspiring to have a certain lifestyle, but it's also good to consider the lifestyle that you want for your children. I have mentioned this in previous video. Your children and your grandchildren, you want to make sure that they are set financially. So aside from access to quality food and lifestyle and all of that, so we do have to consider that men who haven't found their way or feel like they've failed in the finance department, or who are just plain lazy and they just lack that drive. Some men are looking for a woman to take care of them. So, and those types of men are operating out of their feminine side. There's an imbalance within them. It can come from several different places, but clearly there's an imbalance if a man does not feel that hardwiring that is existent within a healthy man to protect and provide. So those types of men are First of all, they're mean. They're not kind. They're not fun. They are angry at the world and they feel like the world owes them something, which is very dangerous because that can lead to entitlement, which is an indicator that usually there is some kind of like mental instability or narcissism, or and that can lead to a world of sorrow and agony, not only for you but for your children if there are children involved. But yeah, not only that, but dealing with broke men or men who don't have a lot of money or who don't value providing for their women, that is directly connected to the destruction of your femininity. So if you're saying yes to a broke man, you're essentially saying no to your femininity. And you can kiss your feminine journey goodbye. You can kiss your self-development goodbye, because you cannot thrive as a feminine woman with a man who does not have access to resources. It's not going to work. And women have the ability to choose, especially when they're younger. So if you're going to choose, do not choose someone who, do not choose someone based off of love and, oh, I love him. Okay, you cannot take love to the bank and deposit it. So it really does matter what is in this man's pockets. So let's not deny that, and let's not shame women for the natural order of things. Also, that entitlement that comes with a man being angry at the world or feeling like the world is not giving him what is owed to him, it can lead to him feeling entitled to your resources. That can also leave you financially as well as spiritually bankrupt. They will destroy you financially, whether it be on purpose or otherwise. It's just a financially incompetent man will destroy you if you're dealing with him, because he's going to end up borrowing things from you. It's just going to affect you financially, and you're both going to go down on that ship, because it's just that type of pairing. When you latch on to someone like that, it's just not good for your finances. Your finances will be affected. Just know that. So I already talked about they're not fun or kind. They're not operating out of their masculine nature, which means that they have more feminine traits. A relationship or marriage with a man who is broke or not financially stable will always be in a relationship that lacks balance and the natural order of things. And once there's no balance, then the feminine party will be more masculine, the masculine party will be more feminine. The man obviously is not happy about being more feminine. He feels emasculated by his woman. Then he starts taking out his frustrations on the women that he is in a relationship with or married to. And this can, of course, destroy an entire family. It can even lead to violence. Very dangerous. It can get really ugly. Lack of respect. There will always be a lack of respect when a man is not where he needs to be financially. If a woman is having to pull his weight as well as hers, and if there are children involved, she also has to take care of the home. And of course, a man should be the head of the household, but if he's not earning, or if his earning potential is non-existent, then the woman will just naturally not feel like she needs to respect this man, because she is doing everything on her own. So it can just lead to a whole bunch of mess. Like, it's so bad for the woman to be in a situation like that, and it's bad for the man too. So any men who are not where they need to be in life, you should definitely avoid relationships, marriage, bringing children into this world, because you're just going to ruin it for everybody. There's some women who are not taught. Everyone is taught differently. Some women are taught to marry for money and to seriously consider a man's finances when looking for or accepting a man's advances, especially when she's looking for a husband. Of course, so there are other women who are not taught the importance of seeking out a providing and generous man. Other women are naive. They believe that men just naturally provide, and that is just simply not the case, unfortunately. Some women believe in marrying for love, and they just think that everything will fall into place after that. But things do not magically fall into place. In fact, things will only get worse once real life situations are introduced to the marriage, once the pressure of adult life hits and there's just not enough money to go around, and everyone is perplexed and hungry and living in poverty. I mean, like, why would you want to live a life like that? As a woman who was once married, I do strongly believe, still to this day, although I'm a divorcee, I still believe in the natural order of things, which within a marriage, which really entails a man being the head of the household, the woman being more of a nurturing spirit. The man is the protector, the provider, just the masculine energy in the home, the leader, protector, provider. And the feminine party in a marriage is really more of a follower, has a nurturing, spiritual, and even just a softer energy about her. But if your man is unable to provide, meaning he's not providing and he's also not protecting, because when a man can't provide, he is exposing his wife and or family to poverty, which is not right, number one, and it is a direct attack on a person's livelihood. So yeah, when a woman is seeing that the man that she's supposed to be respecting and following and she's put all her trust in is unable to provide a space for her to fawn and rest comfortably in her feminine nature, her nurturing nature, the relationship will be out of balance and it is at a great risk. Once a woman is depleted of her femininity, that will lead to the man being depleted of his masculinity, because masculine and feminine energy are enmeshed. I believe it's enmeshed, the word that I'm looking for, but it's directly correlated with each other. They are symbiotic in nature. When a man has when a masculine man, we're talking about masculine men here, not like the type of men that we're talking about in this video, but a true masculine man has so much to gain from a feminine woman, and a woman who really knows the power of her role within this dynamic. People just think that relationships are about keeping the women happy and it's all like feminine centered, and it's not necessarily true, because there is so much to gain for the man once he has a feminine woman in his corner. I mean, my God, even if we're just looking at how much money a man can save just by having his wife be at home with the children. You don't have to pay for childcare because you have a wife at home. Have to pay for a cook, a cleaning company, nothing, because the wife is doing all of that and much, much more. This is not just about keeping the women happy and the women in their feminine. Having a woman in her feminine energy is so helpful to the man. I can go into that in another video if you'd like. Leave a comment below if you would like me to do a video on that topic. Is not in her feminine, the man will not be in his masculine, and a man who is devoid of his masculine energy is both dangerous, volatile, and yes, dangerous and volatile, and will destroy any and everyone in his path. There is no amount of love that you can give a man who has not found his way, or who's just broke and insecure about the fact that he's broke. You don't want to be there. Let that man be by himself or be with whatever idiot will deal with him. In my situation, the person that I was married to didn't present as a broke person. Exactly. They took care of me. They made me feel like they were a masculine energy, but that was all a mask. It was all just a ruse, really, because the person is not like that. And I found that out after I had already, or maybe even during my pregnancy, I started to see things. But I mean, I had a baby already and I was just like kind of like left with egg on my face. So I just want to like say that really quick, because I think a lot of people who are inexperienced and ignorant are just under the impression that this, you know, these broke men or whatever just come to women saying, I'm broke, I don't have anything, and I'm just gonna use you up. That's not how they present themselves. Some of them pretend, some of them will give you money, some of them will cover your bills, you know, and they will talk the talk and walk the walk. But when the dust settles and you see what they're actually bringing to the table, it's $0 and 0 cents. So anyways, it's important to also bring light to the fact that financial duress is the quickest way to deplete a woman's femininity. Feminine women do not submit to poverty. It just doesn't work. And if you are submitting to a broke man, you are in fact submitting to poverty, being poor, and having to pretend to respect a man who does nothing for you. And that is just unnatural and cruel to do to yourself. So just, if you love yourself, which I'm hoping you do, and if you love the children that you will have in the future, do your best to not be attached to these type of men. Money equals health. Money is important. Man's money should be considered when choosing a valid suitor, especially a husband. Dealing with a man with no money will not bring you anything but part of his poverty. So this is the number 2 trait in a man that is sort of a red flag and that you want to avoid, right? The number 2 trait is a sob story man. This is the man who has this victim mentality and has a very well thought out sob story about why things are the way they are, and nobody respects him, and oh, you know, nothing has worked out for me in my life, blah blah blah. It's just like very like cue the violence. So men with a sob story, this will get very old very quickly to you. So it's just better to avoid men like this who have a sob story. And guess what, most of the time the sob story that they have is not authentic, it's inauthentic, it's inaccurate, and it's just not true. There are a lot of fallacies in these sob stories. They just want to portray themselves as a victim, and in order to do that, you have to just tell one side of the story. You cannot hold yourself accountable, and you cannot tell the full story. So any man who's just like in that victim mentality is obviously in their feminine, and something is out of balance and out of whack. So, and it's just not up to you to figure out what it is. If you notice that something is wrong with someone, just leave it alone. You don't have to turn into a therapist. You don't have to figure it out. If you think that something is wrong, just walk away. Your time is valuable as a woman. It's just simply not your job to figure it out. A victim mindset is a feminine trait, as I have written down here. And also lack of accountability is dangerous. It is a huge, glaring red flag. A person who has no accountability for their own actions, you can never reason with them and they will never be wrong. And a person who's never wrong will always just make you the enemy, and you're always wrong, and no one is ever always wrong or always right. That's not how we're built. That's not how human beings are or human behavior is. It's just sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes people are wrong. You have to accept that. To me, in my opinion, that is a huge indicator of personality disorder, so beware. Okay. All right, so the number 3 trait to avoid, to just better ensure that you're not dealing with a dusty man, it's a man who's too transactional. And what I mean by that is when this type of man does a favor for you, he has to remind you of how grueling the task was. Like, he cannot just do something out of the kindness of his heart. He has to emphasize how hard it was, how difficult it was. They just have to broadcast the things that they've done, and it's almost like they have a calculator in their head, just like like calculating everything that they've ever done for you. And furthermore, they expect payment for these favors or, you know, things that they do for you. For me, that indicates 2 things. He is not a team player, number 1, and number 2, he's not generous nor genuine. You have to ask yourself, do you want to deal with that type of man who is just constantly counting? And you'll notice that every time they do something, they have to bring it up. And it's like, oh my God, you're supposed to do those types of stuff. Why are you bringing that up? But yeah, at the first sign of this, I really do believe that you should walk away, because there is no remedy for that type of mindset, approach to things, the thought process behind thinking that a woman owes you something because you do something kind for her or do something that you said you would do for her. Really dusty trait, really disgusting and annoying and just embarrassing. Number 4 dusty trait: he has children and you do not. I really do believe that this will lead to further loss of wealth in the future. I mean, if you are a woman who does not have children, typically or ideally, you really should try to avoid dealing with men or marrying men with children. There will be a loss of wealth. So if you decide to have children with this person, there is less money or less finances to be rotated amongst all these children. Even if it's another child, that child has expenses, that child has needs, and they can change with time. So you're putting yourself and your child at a disadvantage by doing this. And hey, it works out for some people, because I mean, I don't want to tell people's business. My own grandmother married my grandfather when he had children from a previous marriage, and they were together until my grandfather died. So they were together for like, I think 60 plus years. So it works out for some women, but if you just can avoid that, it's just better, because it will financially affect you. And my grandmother talks about how it financially affected her and her children. And there was just less to go around because you had to always consider those other mouths to feed. If you are a woman without children, you should not be dealing with that. Like, you deserve better than that, okay? And of course, in this country, there's child support expenses. Those can fluctuate, they can stop, and then they can restart, and it just can make things extremely complicated for you and your babies. And then you have that anxiety of not having enough. If there is an inheritance involved, it will be split more ways, okay? And there will be less for you and your babies, and you just don't want that. It's not ideal. This is important. It's not just about the finances, but if you are a woman who is childless and desires to start a family one day, and it's really important to consider the fact that if you get with a man who has already had children or a child, your child would not be there first. So as a woman, if you haven't had children, this is your first child, everything is so special and sentimental for you, and you want to share that with someone who also, this is also their first child. And if you're going to miss out on that big time, and you will never get that back, because once you become a parent, then the magic of that first is now gone. And it doesn't mean that other children that you have in the future will be less special, but that first experience of becoming parents, it really should be shared with someone who can truly appreciate the moments and how awesome it is, because these are first. Now, this is going to be old to him because he's had children, or he's had a child before, so he's been there and done that. And also, this can lead to him being very critical of your parenting skills, because there is a difference in experience levels. Because if he has children, and you're just learning how to become a parent, he's already a parent, that can be an issue. So it's just better if you are a woman with no kids, deal with a man with no kids as much as possible. Like, it's actually really important. So your pregnancy journey, all of that will not be as special to him, because this is not his first rodeo. So this is one of those things that's avoidable. So just like try to get someone who's on your level in terms of parent or parental experience and things like that, because then you're both learning together, and you will both expect or respect each other, because there isn't one party who has more experience and who is belittling and looking down on the other person. I mean, honestly, a man shouldn't be doing that. Men always talk about how they want a woman with no kids. So if you have children and you're prioritizing women who do not have children, which is fine, everyone has their preference. I'm not going to say anything about that, but you need to have what it takes to deal with a woman who has less parental experience than you, to have an exuberant amount of patience. And if you don't have patience, then maybe you should be with women with children. But I mean, go after what you want, but I'm just saying, like, it's very interesting how men say they want that, but then they don't have any kind of patience for a woman who is a new parent to their child. Like, they're looking at them like they're stupid, or they're just very rude. And yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I'm sure not all men are like that. I'm sure there are men who are patient and who understand that this is the woman's first time, or, you know, this is her first baby, so she's going to make mistakes, or she's going to be extra excited about it. And, you know, there are different personalities in this world, so we can't just make it seem like all men are like that. But this is something that the women talk about. This is a real thing that runs through a lot of experiences of many different women. So yeah, number 5 trait of a dusty man that it's imperative that you avoid is a man a man that asks you, what do you bring to the table as a woman? For me, in my opinion, this indicates that this man has a very rudimentary approach to relationships. It also indicates to me that they think somehow that women and men function the same, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Slap in the face, because he doesn't see your value. Let's talk about it. If you were his dream girl, he would not be sitting at the dinner table or wherever you are having your date asking you, what do you bring to the table? Because he would see it, he would get it, because you're his dream girl. He knows exactly what you bring to the table because he desires you, and that's that. But I feel like if a man is trying to weed you out, or trying to, like, I don't know, it's kind of like another way of saying, like, what's so special about you? Because I don't see what's so special about you, so can you make it plain? If a man asked me that, I would literally walk out of the establishment with my head held high and my purse clutched under my arm, because, like, what are you talking about? The last and the 6th trait of a dusty man is a man who is sexually irresponsible, or men who lack discipline. Discipline is everything. Like, if a man who is not disciplined will destroy his life over low vibrational things, low caliber things, because of the choices that he makes in his life. Or a man specifically who is sexually irresponsible, to me, that highlights, or that is a man who has low morality. And we're talking about married stuff. We're not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, because all is fair in love and war in regards to that. We're talking about marriage now. Like, you made a commitment before whatever God you believe in, or whatever, right? This is a marriage. This is a family now. This is not about playing games and having multiples and all of that stuff. That is for the girls and the guys who are dating. You're now on a different level of commitment. If you're sexually irresponsible, then you don't really respect yourself, number 1, and you don't have a lot of morals, number 2. That indicates to me that you're irresponsible, and these are bad traits for a man. Undisciplined, irresponsible. This is not a good sign on a man, especially. You need a man who's responsible, who has dignity, morality, who has a moral code that he sticks by. For me, it just indicates that they haven't evolved to the point where they understand the trade-off of sex, especially cheap sex, like meaningless sex with people that you don't love or care about, versus the connectivity that you can feel in quality sex with your, hopefully it's your spouse that you feel most connected to if you've selected the correct partner. So if you're still revering cheap sex, although you are a married man, that is not a good sign. It's a red flag. And it's something to avoid if you're dating someone and they're having issues. They struggle with flirting and being irresponsible and everything. Everyone has temptations. And if you're looking for a man of means, it's even worse, because the attractiveness and the allure of a man who can afford to take care of a woman, most women desire that. So there will be more women chasing after a man of means. So I get it. We all get it. But at a certain age, you should have reached some sort of realization that cheap sex with your fans, if you will, is not something to be uplifted above family and marriage and whatever your religious beliefs are, if you have religious beliefs. We'll love to say that women suffer the most when it comes to like casual sex, things like that, but men also suffer. Men will talk about, if they're being honest, they talk about how having so many sexual partners has affected them in a bad way. We've heard of soul ties. That is not just for women. It's not just women that experience soul ties, and sometimes being linked sexually to the wrong people will just change things for you rapidly. It's not a good sign if you're dealing with a man and you're dating or being courted and he's like cheating, he is just everywhere, too friendly. Not a good sign. There needs to be some kind of evolution in a man's life where he realizes that his family is not worth 5 minutes of pleasure with a fantasy girl or someone that they want to conquer. It's just not worth it, and you have to realize that. The temptation will always be there, and the temptation is there for men and women. Like, we all have temptation all around us, so it's important to be disciplined enough to say no and to make the right decision. So that concludes my video. Thank you for watching as always, and shout out to my new subscribers. I see you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments below. You know the drill. It was lovely talking with you guys, and I hope to hear from you guys very soon. Bye.